everybody. I'm with my colleague, Dennis Nambura, over there. We have prepared some notes together, but she has agreed that since I'm the younger person, I can help with the presentation, and she will chip in what I miss out. Now, every time I'm in a gathering like this, I stand accused. The constant narrative is blaming the Kenyan media, particularly, and the media in general, for misinformation, disinformation, lies, propaganda, and so on GMOs. There's a report that came along not too long ago, alleging that the Kenyan media is the worst culprit in the world on misinformation on GMOs. It was an extremely unscientific report because it did not say what other country Kenya is being measured against. Simply saying how many anti-GMO articles are there in the Kenyan media. This is a constant narrative which is absolutely misleading and erroneous. And I think we have to, if you take a good look at the Kenyan media, I would say it is one of the most balanced and professional in its reporting on science, health, politics, sports, and everything under the sun, anywhere in the world. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. What we do is this. We are not going to be captive to misinformation or propaganda from either side. Today we have been here since 8 o'clock listening to what you might call information from one side. Tomorrow we'll be with another group telling us what you had yesterday was misinformation. Ours is the proper, correct information. There are 2, 3, 4 sides to every story. And it is good for everybody to understand the role of the media. We seem to inform, educate, to entertain, etc., etc., etc. But it is also to ask questions, to throw stones, and to provide platforms for discussion and debate. That is what we do. There are some people who will feel offended by some of the things we write or broadcast. There are others who will be very happy. But there is always a right of reply, a right to give what you think is the correct information. The problem with scientists is that they do not know how to communicate. Nancy here told her people, please keep it simple. You are addressing women. But clearly men did not listen to her. So we had a lot of gibberish, which we might not be able to report on because ourselves do not understand it. We are jacks of all trades and masters of none. When I sat in the nation many years ago, before I left, I was in charge of the op-ed pages. And I was always used to invite scientists, doctors, medical researchers, engineers, urban planners to write for us. The problem is that those very learned people don't write for the ordinary newspaper reader. They write for themselves and their peers. I tell someone to give me a 700-word article which I can understand, and I will publish it in the newspaper. He gives me 3,000 pages which I cannot understand. And if I can't understand it, I know the reader will not understand it. Therefore, unless he can rework it, I send it back to him, please rework it. Keep it simple. Reduce it to the required length. If that does not work, I have no option but to throw it away. That is the reality of these things. You have to make sure that before accusing the media of disinformation, that you are able to give the right information in a way that is understandable to a non-scientist, to a layman. In my field, I mostly write on politics, and I am also always writing about the arrogance of power. Dealing with scientists, we also encounter something we call intellectual arrogance. That nobody wants to redirect their message to the intended audience. Everything becomes too technical, too scientific, too difficult for many of us. The other thing we must deal with is perceptions. Yes, there are perceptions that GMO is bad. How do we correct those perceptions? The thing is, you also know that GMO is bad. Not know that there are perceptions that GMO is bad. Therefore, you contrive and say, we will no longer call it GMO maize. We will call it BT maize. Because we want to remove the name GMO, because you know the moment you use it, some antennas somewhere are raised. Now, listening here, one would think that Kenya is the only country that has banned or has restricted GMOs. There are 86 other countries. I think 26 with bans, another 60 or so with partial bans or very tight regulations. That includes most of Western Europe, the EU, countries in Eastern Europe, Latvia and so on, even China, Russia and others. And we must ask, if we in Kenya are so foolish that we can, on the basis of false evidence, ban GMOs, how about all those other countries? Are they as foolish as us? Or is there something that, and many of them are much more advanced scientifically than us, is there something they know? We must deal with these things. We cannot bury our hearts in the sand. We cannot pretend there are no issues. If there are problems with GMOs, let us discuss them. If GMOs are the magic bullet to all our problems, let us make the case, but with facts, not with propaganda. When we see pictures of children starving somewhere in Africa because of famine, and we say this is because they ban GMOs. But when those pictures were taken, is countries that allow GMOs. True. So there is much more to it than this thing being the magic bullet. There are conversations I had with some of you, and every time I ask that question, you hide under the table. We are here talking about the wonders of GMO cotton. When I ask what happened to GMO cotton experiments in Burkina Faso, everybody goes under. There was a problem there. Everybody goes under, don't even want to discuss it. I'm not lying, it is there. The nexus between, we talked about the nexus between health and agricultural biotechnology, but we touched very little on the nexus between GMO research and marketing, production and sales, and the biotech companies. Those biotech companies are very, very much involved in funding and leading those projects. That is a fact. They have a direct commercial interest in selling the output. And every time I read some of those things, what I think about is a movie called The Constant Gardener. An award-winning movie, partly shot in Kenya, exposing medical technology companies and the kind of research they're doing and the kind of products they are trying to push through, some without proper some of which are questionable in terms of safety. These are things we cannot ignore. Now, we have one big problem. Some of it has already been answered as I was seated here. We heard about how the government in 2012 thereabouts banned or restricted imports and production of GMOs. We were told it was on advice from some multi-sectoral committee, correct? Now we also know that the new government in 2022 lifted that ban. What many of us did not know until today is how that decision was reached. All we knew is that it was an executive decision from President Ruto. It is only today I have heard for the first time that it was on advice of some multi-sectoral committee. Okay? What we knew is that Ruto has declared, Ruto has said. Now, where is that gap in that communication? So these are things which we really have to deal with internally ourselves. How do we communicate? How we are making these decisions? How are they being made? Are they political decisions? Then we will report them as politics. Or are they scientific decisions? Then we will report them as science. We have heard, in terms of some of the protocols you observe here, about labeling, about a requirement on labeling. I must confess, I don't know whether that requirement exists. Because I have never gone to any supermarket and seen my packet of unga or rice or anything else labeled whether it is GMO or non-GMO. So if you talk about freedom of choice, make it real and let the consumers know, the users know, not just something hidden in a drawer somewhere, because that is a big problem. Many countries in Europe and even the Americans have a level of, including those pushing GMOs, have a requirement on labeling foodstuffs which are in the supermarket, which are available to the consumer. Even the US right now is moving, which has very few restrictions, is moving towards labeling. Why don't we do the same? At least that one will have some transparency and accountability, and these things we talk about. Let us get on to the messages right. Secondly, let us understand how the media operates. The media, I can tell you, is not captive to any anti-GMO movement or anything of that sort. That is a false narrative that we must disabuse ourselves of. If you communicate better, make your case, you will be listened to. And you will get the space or the amount of time you deserve. But please don't be sent to shooting the messenger, because that is the kind of thing we expect from politicians. Every single day we deal with that.